Hey, what's up, PorterWay Podcast family? Your man Sean Zittel could not make the show again. We got Raiders Broncos at Allegiant. I'll be heading out from the house right now to go cover that. But I got home this morning in from San Antonio, Texas. Your man is running on fumes, but I had to bring it to the people on the PorterWay Podcast. Shout out to my brothers, Antt with 2 T's and Shawn Porter. So let's start real quick with the card. Arislandi Lara. Guys, I'm very amused at watching Arislandi Lara walk at the championship level. Let's be respectful here. Limited level opposition into straight left hands. It's becoming a running gag on these undercards that I'm really starting to enjoy. I'm calling his step back. It's like James Harden when he stepped back for threes, but he does it with a step back straight left hand. So I'm enjoying watching him rinse and repeat and do this at 160 at 42 years old. It's not his fault Janabek popped for PEDs. So I'm enjoying this opposite of Marvin Hagler, Bernard Hopkins-esque run at 160 level of opposition-wise at the championship level, but it's kind of fun to watch Lara just walk guys into straight left hands over and over again. Anyway, shout out to Shane Mosley Jr., our guy. Tremendous. I mean, Shane left everything in the ring. Ramos clearly won the fight, but what a chin by our guy Shane Mosley Jr. and rocked him with right hands in back-to-back rounds. Shane left everything in the ring and needs to hold his head high in defeat. Ramos, we know, is a very, very solid fighter. If he wants real success at the championship level, going to have to find another gear, find a way to be a little bit more dynamic. But we got to give him credit for his timing, sense of distance, and placement, punch placement. And then on to the co-main. O'Shaquie Foster, man, was dominant in this fight. Switched both stances, made every inch of his length count in this fight. Pause, because Cam and Mace were at the fight, and they got me saying pause now anytime I say something pause-worthy. But O'Shaquie Foster eventually fought downhill after outboxing Stephen Fulton. And again, in both stances, he's an excellent fighter. And yeah, you would think, because he's now the interim champion for Shakur Stevenson, and it's kind of funny that the WBC egregiously allowed Fulton to fight for a lightweight title since he blew the super featherweight limit, and they showed their ass for no reason because in the end, Foster was the guy they were going to get 3% out of anyways. But anyways, Foster is an excellent fighter and rose to this occasion and was dominant in this assignment. And makes me think, you would think that Shakur Stevenson is kind of a superior version of him, a very, very good, excellent boxer. But Foster he's an excellent fighter. And it makes me, if you're a purist, kind of interested in how he would look in a fight against Shakur Stevenson, where, yes, he would be an underdog, but just salute to O'Shaquie Foster, probably the best 130-pounder in the world. Him and Raymond Ford would be a hell of a fight at 130, but I'm interested to see what he could do at lightweight, and I tip my cap to O'Shaquie Foster. Excellent fighter. And then in the main event, Cruz, Lamont Roach, I thought it was a fantastic fight action-wise. I think I talked to Sean on the phone. He thought it was a little too sloppy for his taste. Sean, this was a fight, and Haney Lomachenko comes to mind. A couple other fights come to mind where when it's really close, sometimes the way you see a fight live in the arena is different than how you'll score it on television. And I think when you score it on television, to a degree, you scored a little bit more like an amateur bout where each landed punch is almost like points you're tabulating in your mind. Whereas in the arena, it's really those the most meaningful punches and aggression when you're not getting matadored, which I know Roach did as a taunt in the 10th round, but he wasn't really able to matador Cruz. Aggression pays off a little bit more in a very close fight when you're watching live. And because Roach was able to hold the center of the ring against Gervonta Davis, not really able to do that with Pitbull Cruz. But to be fair to Roach, he's an exquisite in the pocket counterpuncher. That's where he had his most success against Gervonta, and that's where he likes to operate anyways. Ultimately, I think this draw was probably the right call in the end. But live, I did nick it to Cruz. And I imagine on television, you might nick it to Roach because of all the clean counters, especially in the second half of the fight. But Cruz may have stole rounds late in those last 10 seconds or so in 11 and 12. A lot of close rounds. The opposite of what you'd call a robbery, a highway robbery. Very close competitive fight. But I would love to hear what Sean thought in regards to how fights are scored differently live versus on television. And we got to see this one again. Roach had the knockdown, or Cruz had the knockdown early, and I don't think Roach ever quite captured a moment in the fight to offset that. And at first, I thought the point deduction wasn't right. But then reflecting on the fight and talking to people I respect and realizing how many low blows Cruz landed and sometimes punched behind the head. And people were talking about how much Cruz held too. But Roach was tying him up tactically quite a bit, in the early portion of the fight, especially before the knockdown. Anyways, it was a hell of a fight. We get a lot of parasocial relationship people. That's the word of the year, by the way, Sean and Antt, in the Cambridge Dictionary, meaning these people who obsess over their favorite fighters. And what was nice about this fight is while Pitbull is a star and Roach is a very likable man and fighter, they haven't yet developed these obsessive cult of personality fan bases yet. So it was kind of nice just to keep it all boxing in this fight. Standard fare tribalism, right? Mexico versus Black American fighter, probably the best rivalry in the sport. But let's see them do this again. I love the fight. So that's it I got for now from your man, the big SZ to the big SP and the big Antt with 2 T's. And I'll see you guys next week on the show because the Raiders are playing the Eagles, so I can actually make the show. Peace and love to everybody watching the show and to my guys in the studio. And I love you too, Ryan Hafey.
There it is. Our guy Sean Zittel giving us his take. I told him, I said, man, anytime you are not able to make it on the show, do these videos. I love them.
Beautiful.
We get an opportunity to still hear you and his fantastic analytical perspective. I took a couple of notes real quick. He says he was amused with Lara. You said you were bored by Lara. I said, I love Lara. I've always loved Lara. I think I've always secretly respected Lara because I knew what he was capable of against the best. And so I've always had respect for him. And he says, listen, at 160 pounds, he's able to do this like James Harden step back. It's the step back straight left. It's the step back 3 of boxing. And I didn't even think about that. I said, that's a good comparison there. And man, just right down the pipe with them straight lefts, right down the pipe all night. Again, you got somebody like Terrence. Terrence is not going to just simply walk into that punch. He's going to figure things out. Southpaw, orthodox. He's much more well-rounded. Might be too much for Lara at 160 now at this point in his career. But against virtually anybody else, I'm willing to bet that Lara wins. He said Ramos needs to find another gear, and that's exactly what we said. We think that I had a feeling that Ramos would be at the end of the night just a little bit too much for Shane. Shane kept up, but again when you break in the tape, Shane was a step or 2 behind Ramos most of the way, which is ultimately why Ramos finished the race first. But Ramos has to find another gear, get in the ring with some more elite talent. And that should be coming in the next 365 days for Ramos. He should be stepping up to championship contention in the next year.
You want him right back in the ring?
Ramos?
Yeah.
Why not?
A lot of punishment, but yeah.
Lara. Shane got Lara, so
Yeah.